The gleaming corridors of Galactic Academy Station hummed with activity as students from across the known universe hurried to their classes. Among them walked Jaiwan Park, her steps measured and confident despite being the only human in a sea of alien species. She kept her eyes forward, ignoring the stares and whispers that followed her. "That's the Deathworlder," she heard someone say. "The one from Earth." Jaiwan had expected this. As the first human accepted into the prestigious academy, she represented not just herself but her entire planet. Earth had only recently joined the Galactic Alliance, and humans were still viewed with a mixture of curiosity and fear. She reached her assigned dormitory and placed her palm on the scanner. The door slid open to reveal a spacious room with 4 distinct living spaces. 3 aliens already occupied the room, their conversations stopping abruptly as she entered. "Hello," Jaiwan said with a polite bow. "I'm Jaiwan Park from Earth. I believe we're roommates." The smallest of the 3, a being that seemed made of blue crystal that caught and refracted the light, approached her first. "I am Lith. Welcome to Academy Station." Its voice chimed like tiny bells. "Navi," said a tall, plant-like creature whose skin resembled bark and whose hair looked like green leaves. "Class 2 Diplomat." The third alien, a bulky reptilian with emerald scales, merely nodded. "Duvo," it grunted. Jaiwan set her bag on the empty bed. "It's nice to meet you all. Is it true humans come from a Category 12 planet?" Navi asked, leaves rustling with curiosity. "Earth is classified as a death world, yes," Jaiwan replied, unpacking her few possessions. "Though we just call it home." Duvo snorted. "No wonder they only sent one of you. The Academy doesn't need unstable primitives." Jaiwan's jaw tightened, but she kept unpacking. She had been warned about this kind of reaction. "I heard humans kill each other regularly," Lith said, moving back slightly. "Is that true?" "Our history includes conflict, like most species," Jaiwan answered carefully. "But we've worked hard to build peace." The next morning, Jaiwan woke before the others. She changed into exercise clothes and began her morning routine on the open floor space of their common area. She was midway through her push-ups when Navi emerged from sleep. "What are you doing?" the plant being asked, watching Jaiwan's muscles flex with each movement. "Morning workout," Jaiwan replied between controlled breaths. "Sets of 50, 10 sets total." By the time she finished her routine, all 3 roommates were watching with expressions ranging from fascination to disgust. "You deliberately strain your body?" Duvo asked. "For what purpose?" "Humans need physical exercise to stay healthy," Jaiwan explained, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Our bodies get stronger when we challenge them." Litha's crystalline structure seemed to shiver. "That sounds painful." "It can be," Jaiwan admitted. "But no pain, no gain, as we say." In their first combat class later that day, Instructor Toru paired students for practice drills. No one volunteered to partner with Jaiwan. "The human will work with Duvo," Toru decided, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. Duvo's scales darkened in obvious displeasure. "I refuse to pair with a savage." "You will follow instructions, cadet," Toru said firmly. The training floor activated, generating a simple obstacle course. Jaiwan and Duvo took positions at the start line. "The objective is to reach the end while avoiding the defense systems," Toru explained. "Work together." As soon as the simulation began, Duvo charged ahead, deliberately leaving Jaiwan behind. The reptilian moved with surprising agility, dodging the slow-moving practice drones. Jaiwan followed at a steady pace, watching how the drones moved and predicting their patterns. When a drone surprised Duvo from behind, Jaiwan leaped forward, pulling her partner down as the drone passed overhead. "I didn't need your help," Duvo hissed, yanking away from her touch. "We're supposed to work together," Jaiwan reminded him. They finished the course with the worst time in the class. Instructor Toru looked disappointed. "The simulation was too easy," Jaiwan said when asked about her performance. "It doesn't feel real enough." Laughter rippled through the class. "The primitive wants more challenge," someone called out. Toru's eyes narrowed. "What would you suggest, Cadet Park?" On Earth, we train with real consequences, Jaiwan replied. The simulations here, everyone knows they're fake. Ridiculous, Duvo snorted. The simulations are perfect representations. Perfect, but without risk, Jaiwan countered. Humans need real stakes to achieve true focus. The class erupted in mockery. The Deathworlder wants danger. Typical savage thinking. She'll get herself killed. Jaiwan stood tall despite the jeers. She had expected this too, but she also knew that someday, they would understand. Humans didn't become the dominant species on a death world by accident. After 3 weeks at the academy, Jaiwan had settled into a routine. Every morning she woke before her roommates, completed her exercise program, showered, and prepared for classes. Her alien classmates had grown used to seeing the human perform what they considered bizarre physical rituals. Today we evaluate your progress, Instructor Toru announced to the combat class. Each student will complete the advanced simulation course while we measure performance metrics. Jaiwan waited her turn, watching as her classmates navigated the holographic obstacle course with varying degrees of success. When Lith completed the course with near-perfect scores, the crystalline being's body glowed with pride. Cadet Park, Toru called. You're next. Jaiwan stepped onto the simulation platform. The room transformed around her into a complex urban environment with multiple threats. She moved through it efficiently, neutralizing targets and avoiding dangers, but her movements lacked the fluid grace her classmates had shown. When the simulation ended, Instructor Toru looked puzzled. Your physical performance meets expectations, Cadet Park, but your focus metrics are puzzlingly low. Your mind appears to wander during critical moments. I'm trying, sir, Jaiwan said. But the simulation doesn't feel real to me. This is the most advanced combat simulator in the galaxy, Toru replied, all 6 eyes blinking in obvious confusion. It perfectly replicates battlefield conditions. For me, it's missing something, Jaiwan tried to explain. My brain knows it's not real. After class, Duvo approached her. The reptilian still avoided direct contact but had ceased open hostility. You moved like you were bored, Duvo said. It's disrespectful to the instructors. I wasn't bored, Jaiwan sighed. Humans just train differently. How so? Asked Lith, who had joined them. On Earth, we use live fire exercises. Real weapons. Real danger. It helps us focus. Both aliens stared at her in silent shock. That evening, Jaiwan drafted a formal request to Academy administration. She needed to prove that humans weren't deficient, they just required different training methods. After submitting her request, she waited 3 days before receiving a response. Dean Muru will see you now, the automated system announced. Jaiwan entered the dean's office and stood at attention. Dean Muru, a tall amphibious being with pale blue skin, looked up from a data screen. Cadet Park. Your request is highly unusual. Yes, Dean Muru. Thank you for considering it. You're asking to convert Storage Bay 7 into what you call a human-style training facility. Explain. Jaiwan took a deep breath. Humans evolved on a high-gravity planet with numerous predators and environmental hazards. Our brains developed to achieve peak performance when facing real danger. The Academy's simulations are incredible, but my brain knows they're not real. And your solution is to train with actual weapons? With explosives? The dean's skin darkened with concern. Controlled training exercises, sir. With safety protocols. It violates 17 Academy safety regulations. I understand, sir. But without it, humans will never demonstrate our true capabilities here. After a long pause, Dean Muru spoke. As the first human at the Academy, you represent an important diplomatic initiative. I'll allow a demonstration under strict supervision. 3 days later, Jaiwan led Dean Muru, Instructor Toru, and a small group of safety officers to Storage Bay 7. She had converted the space into a simple course with metal targets, barriers, and training equipment. What are those? Toru asked, pointing to a locked case. Training weapons, Jaiwan explained. They fire actual projectiles, but at reduced velocity. Still dangerous, but manageable with proper precautions. And this proves what, exactly? Dean Muru asked. With your permission, I'll demonstrate the difference in human performance. The officials retreated to an observation booth while Jaiwan prepared. She strapped on protective gear, loaded her training weapon, and took position at the starting line. Beginning demonstration, she announced. What followed astonished the observers. The same human who had performed adequately but unimpressively in simulations moved like water through the course. Her focus was absolute, her reactions instantaneous. When the final target fell and Jaiwan called clear, the room fell silent. Dean Muru checked the monitoring equipment. Your focus metrics are unprecedented. They're triple your simulation scores. This is how humans train, Jaiwan explained, removing her protective gear. Our minds engage fully when there are real consequences. Word spread quickly through the academy. By evening, students gathered outside the storage bay, whispering about the barbaric human training happening inside. Some were horrified, others fascinated. When Jaiwan returned to her dormitory that night, she found Lith waiting. Is it true? The crystalline being asked. You train with actual death implements? They're training weapons, Jaiwan corrected. But yes, they're real. Jaiwan wiped sweat from her forehead as she checked the training course one final time. The repurposed storage bay had become her sanctuary over the past week, the one place on the entire station where she could truly focus. She had installed proper safety barriers, warning systems, and emergency protocols, but the course remained what it was, a place where real projectiles flew and real danger existed. As she loaded her training weapon, she didn't notice the small group of students who had gathered at the observation window. Unlike the official observers from days before, these were curious classmates who had heard rumors about the primitive human training methods. She actually uses projectile weapons, whispered Navi to the group. With Real metal bullets. Impossible, said Tila, a gaseous being who floated in a containment suit. The academy would never allow such barbarism. Watch, Lith said quietly. The crystalline being had developed a grudging respect for their human roommate, even if her methods seemed insane. Inside the training room, Jaiwan activated the course. Targets began to pop up in random sequences, some stationary, others moving rapidly. She moved through the course with fluid precision, her weapon firing with sharp cracks that made several observers flinch. What the watching students couldn't understand was the harmony Jaiwan felt. Here, with real bullets flying, her mind achieved perfect clarity. Every movement had purpose. Every decision mattered. This wasn't like the simulations where mistakes meant nothing. Here, a mistake could mean pain. Halfway through the course, the door to the observation area hissed open. More students had arrived, drawn by urgent messages from their friends. The observation room grew crowded with beings from across the galaxy, all watching with a mixture of horror and fascination. She's going to kill herself, gasped a multi-eyed student from the outer systems. This is madness. No, Duvo said, surprising everyone. The reptilian rarely defended Jaiwan. This is how Deathworlders train. They need the risk. Inside, unaware of her growing audience, Jaiwan reached the most difficult section of the course. Here, targets appeared for only fractions of a second, and defensive barriers fired back with stinging paint projectiles. One caught her shoulder, leaving a painful blue mark, but she continued without hesitation. The final element of the course was what Jaiwan called the gauntlet, a narrow corridor where training drones fired rapid volleys of low-velocity rubber rounds. Getting through unscathed was nearly impossible, but minimizing hits was the goal. As Jaiwan entered the gauntlet, several observers pressed closer to the window. What happened next occurred so quickly that accounts later differed. The observation window, never designed to hold so many pressing bodies, developed a microscopic crack. Under normal circumstances, the station's safety systems would have detected and sealed it instantly. But the systems in Storage Bay 7 had been modified to accommodate Jaiwan's training, and the safety protocols were functioning differently. The crack widened. A barely audible hiss filled the observation room as pressure began to change. Jaiwan, halfway through the gauntlet, noticed something was wrong. The window showed distortion, and several students were backing away in panic. She immediately hit the emergency stop button and ran toward the observation area. The crack triggered emergency containment fields, but not before Lith, who had been pressed against the window, experienced severe pressure changes. The crystalline being's delicate structure couldn't handle the sudden shift, and with a terrible sound, a fracture appeared across its luminous body. Alarms blared throughout the station. Emergency medical teams arrived within minutes. Lith was rushed to medical, along with 2 other students suffering from shock and pressure-related symptoms. 3 hours later, Jaiwan stood before the Academy Disciplinary Council, her face pale but composed. Cadet Park, Dean Muru began, his skin a dark blue with stress. Your training methods have resulted in serious injuries to 3 students. Cadet Lith remains in critical condition with structural fractures. I understand, sir. Jaiwan's voice was steady despite her inner turmoil. The accident was not directly caused by the training weapons, but I accept full responsibility. This is precisely why we use simulations. Instructor Toru said, his eyes blinking rapidly in agitation. Real weapons, real danger, it's completely unnecessary. The council demands you cease these barbaric practices immediately, another official added. This incident confirms our concerns about Deathworld species integration. Jaiwan looked at each council member before responding. With respect, the accident occurred in the observation area, not the training floor. The training itself worked exactly as designed. That is irrelevant, Dean Muru stated. The presence of such training created the conditions for this incident. Then I request an opportunity to explain why humans train this way, Jaiwan said. Not just to the council, but to any student who wishes to understand. If you're going to judge us, at least know the reason behind our methods. After heated deliberation, the council agreed to a public forum the following day. As Jaiwan left the chamber, she found Duvo waiting outside. The Academy's largest lecture hall was filled beyond capacity. Students and faculty from every corner of the galaxy had gathered to hear the human explain herself. Jaiwan stood at the center of the stage, calm despite the hundreds of eyes watching her. Some gazes held curiosity, others hostility. Dean Muru raised his hand for silence. This forum will allow Cadet Park to explain human training methodologies. Following her presentation, the council will make its final decision regarding the continuation of her enrollment. Jaiwan nodded her thanks and stepped forward. Behind her, a large screen displayed images of Earth. This is my home, she began. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world not because humans made it dangerous, but because it was dangerous from the beginning. Our gravity is higher than standard. Our weather systems can kill in minutes. Our planet has predators that hunted us for millions of years. The screen showed images of hurricanes, lions, and other natural dangers. Humans evolved not despite these dangers, but because of them. Our brains develop to focus best when survival is at stake. She paused. The accident in the observation room was tragic, and I am deeply sorry for Litha's injuries. But the incident doesn't change this fundamental truth: humans need real consequences to achieve our potential. A faculty member stood. Surely your species has advanced beyond such primitive needs? We've advanced with them, not beyond them, Jaiwan replied. Our greatest technologies were developed under pressure, war, disaster, competition. Even our simulations incorporate real feedback, pain, consequences. You're saying humans can't learn without pain, another asked skeptically. We can learn, but we don't master without it. Jaiwan looked around the room. What you call barbaric, we call necessary. The difference isn't that humans enjoy danger, it's that our brains evolved to need it to reach peak performance. Near the back of the hall, Lith entered. The crystalline being moved slowly, its body showing visible repair lines where it had fractured. A murmur spread through the audience as Lith made its way to the front. May I speak? Lith asked Dean Muru, who nodded. Cadet Lith, we're pleased to see your recovery, the dean said. Thank you. Lith turned to face the audience. I was injured because I pressed against glass that wasn't designed for such pressure. The training methods themselves didn't harm me. Jaiwan looked at her roommate with surprise and gratitude. Furthermore, Lith continued, I have a request. I wish to try a modified version of human training. The hall erupted in shocked murmurs. Dean Muru's skin paled to a light blue. Absolutely not, he said firmly. Have you forgotten your injuries? I have not, Lith replied. But I've been watching Cadet Park. When she trains in simulations, her performance is average. When she trains with real consequences, she transforms. I want to understand why. Duvo stood from his seat. I also volunteer. If humans need this to excel, perhaps other species might benefit as well. Jaiwan could hardly believe what she was hearing. She had expected to be expelled, not to find allies. After heated debate, the council agreed to allow a demonstration under strict supervision. 2 days later, a modified training course was prepared. Jaiwan worked with Academy safety experts to create versions suitable for different physiologies. The projectiles are harmless to your crystalline structure, Jaiwan explained to Lith, but they will create mild sensory feedback, like a tap, not a blow. I understand, Lith said. I'm ready. With Academy officials and medical staff watching, Lith entered the course. The crystalline being moved cautiously at first, flinching when the first training round struck nearby. But as the exercise continued, something remarkable happened. Lith began to move with increasing confidence, its crystalline body reflecting light in new patterns. When the course was complete, Lith stood motionless for several seconds. Cadet Lith, are you functional? Dean Muru asked with concern. Yes, Lith replied. I am more than functional. My sensory processing increased by 27% during the exercise. I've never experienced such clarity. Scientific staff rushed to examine Litha's readings. Confirmed the crystalline being had achieved unprecedented neural activation. How do you feel? Jaiwan asked. I understand now, Lith said simply. Your species isn't primitive, you're adapted. Your minds require different stimulation than ours. Duvo's trial showed similar results. The reptilian's reflexes improved by 18% when using the modified human training methods. By the end of the day, a dozen students had volunteered for trials. The Academy's research division began documenting the results, noting species-specific responses to consequence-based training. That evening, Jaiwan returned to her dormitory to find a message from Dean Muru, proposal approved. Human training integration program to begin next cycle. Cadet Park assigned as principal advisor. Lith was waiting for her. You've changed everything, the crystalline being said. The Academy has always taught that simulation is superior to reality. You've shown us there's value in both. 6 months had passed since the incident, and the Galactic Academy looked very different now. Storage Bay 7 had expanded into 3 full training decks, each designed with different gravity settings and environmental conditions. Signs in multiple languages warned, consequence-based training area real effects in use. Jaiwan walked through the main training floor, watching students from 17 different species work through various courses. Each wore safety equipment designed for their specific physiology. Each faced challenges with real, though controlled, consequences. Instructor Park called a voice. Jaiwan turned to see Dean Muru approaching. His blue skin had a healthy glow, and he moved with new confidence. Good morning, Dean, Jaiwan replied with a respectful nod. The Galactic Council representatives will arrive in 1 hour, he said. They're eager to see the program you've developed. We'll be ready, Jaiwan assured him. After Dean Muru left, Jaiwan continued her inspection. Near the advanced course, she found Lith instructing a group of new students. The crystalline being had become one of the program's strongest advocates. Remember, Lith was saying, the feedback is real but controlled. Your mind will respond to the genuine consequences. Trust the process. A nervous aquatic student raised a tentacle. Will it hurt? Discomfort teaches, Lith replied, using what had become the program's unofficial motto. But we never cross the line to injury.
Jaiwan smiled and moved on.
In the research section, Duvo was monitoring data screens while students completed training runs.
The results continue to impress, the reptilian said when Jaiwan approached.
Average performance increase of 22% across all species.
Some, like the methane breathers from Norva, show improvements up to 40%. And the psychological benefits? Even better.
Reduced anxiety in real crisis situations.
Improved confidence. Better team integration. Duvo displayed a chart. The students who train here perform better even in standard simulations afterward. Jaiwan checked the time. The Galactic Council arrives soon. Final preparations.
In the main demonstration arena, Academy staff made last-minute adjustments.
The visit from the Galactic Council marked an important milestone.
Their approval would mean spreading the human training methods to other institutions across the Alliance. As the council members filed in 12 beings representing the major galactic powers, Jaiwan felt a moment of doubt. 6 months ago, she had nearly been expelled. Now the future of human integration with the galactic community might depend on her program. Dean Muru addressed the visitors. Distinguished council members, welcome to the Academy's Integrated Training Center. 6 months ago, our first human cadet showed us that our training methods, while advanced, were incomplete. Today, we demonstrate how combining approaches benefits all species. Jaiwan stepped forward. Respected council members, you'll observe 3 demonstrations today. First, standard simulation training. Second, human-style consequence training. Finally, our new integrated approach. The demonstrations began. A team of 6 diverse cadets ran through a standard simulation, performing well. The same team then attempted a modified life course, showing notable improvement. Finally, they demonstrated the integrated system that combined both approaches. The council members watched with intense interest, especially when the data showed significant performance increases. Impressive results, said the council leader, a tall being with silver skin. But I remain concerned about safety. A valid concern, Jaiwan acknowledged. Which is why every exercise is tailored to each species' physiology and psychology. What creates beneficial stress for one species might be harmful to another. And the incident from 6 months ago? Lith stepped forward. I was injured then, not from the training itself but from an observation room failure. Since implementing proper protocols, we've had 0 serious injuries despite thousands of training sessions. After the formal demonstrations, the council members toured the facility. Jaiwan found herself walking with the council leader. Humans are fascinating, the leader commented. You seek out challenge when most species avoid it. We evolved that way, Jaiwan explained. On Earth, comfort often meant danger was being overlooked. And now you've changed centuries of galactic training philosophy. The leader paused. When your planet joined the Alliance, many questioned whether Deathworld species could integrate successfully. You've answered that question definitively. The tour ended in the Academy's main hall, where Dean Muru made an announcement. Based on the success of the integrated training program, the Academy will now accept applications from all classified Deathworld species. Furthermore, Instructor Park has been promoted to department head. Applause filled the hall. Jaiwan saw Lith, Duvo, and Navi cheering loudly from the front row. That evening, Jaiwan returned to her quarters, no longer the cadet dormitory but a small instructor's apartment. A message waited on her communication panel. 17 new human applications received for next cycle. Additionally, applications from 9 other Deathworld species. Program expansion approved. Congratulations. Dean Muru. Jaiwan smiled. She remembered her first day at the Academy, the stares and whispers, the mockery. Now humans were not just accepted but sought after for their unique perspective. Outside her window, the stars streamed past as the Academy station continued its journey through space. Somewhere out there were countless other species with different evolutionary paths, different strengths, different needs. The galaxy was vast enough for all of them, once they learned to understand each other.